NSA Nuhu Ribadu leads Nigeria's delegation in U.S.-Nigeria security talks.
Senate to investigate Safe School initiative amidst rising insecurity.
To make it in consonance with best practice with regard to administration.
House of Representatives seek intensified intelligence drive to address insecurity.
NSA or DSS is being abused through a video. They will go after that person and track their location. Why is this one so difficult to track?
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall focus on sustaining Nigeria's HIV response, innovation for viable economy, plus Abuja Garden Show.
With about 40.8 million people living with HIV worldwide at the end of 2024 and around 1.3 million new infections last year, the global burden remains huge.
Indeed, and in the same period, global estimates show about 630,000 AIDS-related deaths, and nearly 31.6 million people are on life-saving antiretroviral therapy.
Here at home, Nigeria still plays a critical role in the pandemic, with approximately 1.9 to 2.0 million people living with HIV, according to recent national estimates.
And that spotlights us, not as an outlier, but as a country with massive responsibility. Now, despite progress, the challenge remains immense.
It remains immense, Victor. Over the years, more people are receiving treatment. New infections have dropped, but with global funding cuts and health system pressures, we can't afford complacency.
And today on Good Morning Nigeria, we take a hard look at Nigeria's HIV response, the successes, the gaps, and the path to an AIDS-free future.
Yeah, I'm Ademola Ade. Thank you for joining us on this program.
And I am Victor, as we are live on the network service of the NTA. Up next, Musa Abubakar will bring you the morning news, and later on, we're going to our main discussion. Good morning, Musa.
Good morning to the both of you. Here's the news. President Bola Tinubu has approved the constitution of the Nigerian side of the U.S.-Nigeria Joint Working Group as part of steps to deepen collaboration in tackling security challenges in the country. The composition of the Joint Working Group was part of the agreement reached during the recent trip to Washington, D.C. by a high-level Nigerian delegation led by the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. Ribadu is to lead the Nigerian side of the Joint Working Group, supported by a multi-stakeholder team comprising senior officials from relevant government establishments. President Tinubu has urged members of the Joint Working Group to work assiduously with their U.S. counterparts to ensure smooth operationalization of all agreements across sectors. President Bola Tinubu participated in an extraordinary summit of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government. The extraordinary meeting was convened on the situation in Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau has been in political unrest since Wednesday after military officers declared total control of the country, closed its borders, and suspended electoral activities. Apart from the leaders of the ECOWAS members states, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, also took part in the emergency meeting. In furtherance of its resolve to ensure safety and security for students and teachers in areas affected by banditry and other security challenge, the Nigerian Senate has set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the implementation of the Safe School initiative. The Safe School initiative was introduced to prevent a breach of security in learning environment.
In the appointment of Chancellor and Pro-Chancellor, the current law does not clearly harmonize the appointment process.
To make it in consonance with best practice with regard to administration.
The university had taken up and they are doing very well.
Lawmakers in the House of Representatives have continued the advocacy to beef up national security by calling on the security agencies to step up their game in intelligence gathering and deployment of modern technology to track terrorists and other perpetrators of crime.
We cannot pretend that these threats are isolated. The crisis is now national and the suffering is real.
Bullets alone cannot kill ideology. It is high time we tackle the issue of unemployment.
I say kudos to Mr. President for declaring the state of emergency. But unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, the reward system in the Nigerian police is weak.
Well, those are the highlights of the news at this time. Good Morning Nigeria continues after the break.
The Renewed Hope Initiative RHI presents the RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow. This national competition is in 3 categories. The household category is a tree planting competition amongst 11 frontline states in northern Nigeria. Each participating household in Adamawa, Borno, Bauchi, Gombe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe and Zamfara states will plant a minimum of 1 tree to qualify, with a video evidence of before and after the tree planting exercise. 20 million naira will be awarded to the best household. Submission deadline is 20th December 2026. Community category will see local governments, local communities, schools and NGOs reclaim and transform degraded or abandoned areas such as dump sites, landfills, parks and their likes into green, vibrant gardens, parks and eco-friendly spaces. 50 million naira would be awarded to the overall best community group. Deadline for submission is 15th July 2026. States category will have all states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, excluding Enugu State, have a chance to address the growing threats to environmental sustainability and cleanliness. States will be judged based on the number of trees planted on major roads and inner streets and how clean they are. 100 million naira will be awarded to the best performing state. Already, Enugu State has 100 million naira for being RHI's model green state due to its greenery and cleanliness. Video evidence must be submitted by participating states on or before 20th December 2026. All entries must be directed to RHI Office, State House, Abuja, or email rhi.greenchallenge@statehouse.gov.ng. RHI Green Nigeria Challenge. Go green today for a greener tomorrow.
Little body, big moves. Little brain, big learning. Your little child is eager to do big things. Every sachet comes with the nutrients they need every day. Made from natural grains, contains protein and fortified with iron to support their physical growth, learning and development. So you can fully enjoy your little one's big moments of growth.
Give more strength to your hair with Mega Growth Leave-In Strengthener. It's infused with nourishing oils and conditioning proteins, so you can say goodbye to hair breakage. Wow! Mega Growth Leave-In Strengthener.
And the National Productivity Order of Merit Award goes to...
The only tomato paste manufacturer to win the National Productivity Order of Merit Award by the Federal Government of Nigeria, endorsed by the Association of Private Medical Practitioners of Nigeria. This is an evidence of 100% natural goodness. Eat healthy to live longer. Buy now and enjoy up to 20% discount.
Tomato paste, the taste of Nigeria.
Lagos,
Port Harcourt, Abuja. The city is moving. New voices, heavy drip, all heart. From the streets to the stage, this is the next Afrobeat star.
What are we here for? Let's Afrobeat star. Let's get nasty.
And the talents from all over showed up to own the room. But they're not alone.
Spiritual. Gospel.
All chasing a slot to face the judges. Puffy T, SARS, Andre Vibes, P Pride. Catch next Afrobeat star on.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Get ready for a special Christmas celebration like no other.
Join us on Sunday, December 7, 2025 at the National Christian Center, Central Business District, Abuja for the FRCN, NTA and Vaughan service of 9 lessons and carols.
Theme of 2025 is
Jesus our strength.
With a charge from Reverend Dr. William Okoye.
The service of 9 lessons and carols live on FRCN, NTA and Vaughan. Sunday, December 7, 2025
at 3 p.m. Be there
at the National Christian Center, Central Business District, Abuja.
Don't miss the service of 9 lessons and carols live on FRCN, NTA and Vaughan.
Join us and celebrate the true meaning of Christmas.
The Council of Our Fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Up next on the program is Newspaper Review.
All right, and papers in hand, we're set for the newspaper review. Let me welcome Chukwudi Okolobaja. Good morning to you.
Victor, how are you doing this morning?
Great. And
Good to see you. I'm okay. Could be better, but we thank God for small mercies. Hello, Demo.
Good to have you.
I like to be like you, if only for 5 minutes in a day. Something about you. You know, they do good like me.
All right, no problem. Let's get to the do. And I have the leadership to begin with. Just above beside the nameplates there, Osimed donates 5 million naira to support popular vendors' cancer treatment. You find details of that on page 53. And the lead story here reads, lawyers, security experts back Tinubu's emergency declaration. There must be more clarity, experts say, an action necessary to curb further spread. That's according to lawyers, and you get details of that on page 4. In politics, Jonathan evacuated from Guinea-Bissau after coup. That's according to federal government. Police chief withdraws 11,566 personnel from VIPs on page 4. Senate proposes death penalty for kidnapping, page 7. And finally, Sheikh Dahiru Bauchi dies at 98, leaves behind 100 children, 406 grandchildren. All right, and President Tinubu and others more, you get details on page 7. On to the blueprint. Tinubu approves membership of U.S.-Nigeria Joint Working Group is the lead story here. Bandits invade Niger, abduct 24, amputate blind man's hand. Police recover 210 rounds of ammunition on Zaria, Funtua Road. Withdraw 11,566 personnel from VIPs is on page 11. And for some reasons, this other story here, Dahiru Bauchi dies at 101. The other says 98. And Tinubu says he was a father, voice of moderation and reason. All right, I think I just leave it here because most of the other stories we have taken on the other side of the reading.
Okay, let me just have the Nation's newspaper with me, and just above that nameplate, we have new excise bill could undermine president's fiscal reform agenda, organized private sector wants. Details on page 2. And the major headline reads, Nigeria-US joint working group to hold security talks. NSA Ribado leads federal government's team. Coordinated abduction of 42 in Niger FCT suburb. If you want the details of that story, you go to page 2. World Bank canvasses slash of import tariff to lower inflation. Details of that story, it's on page 3. And AU ECOWAS wife says no to coup in Guinea-Bissau. Details of that story also can be found on page 2. Chooks?
Jonathan had to be spirited away from the eye of the storm. Jonathan, we know, apart from the fact that he casts the image of a dove, he actually behaves like a man of peace. Let's give it to him. Has been in the forefront of ensuring that the democracy happening in Africa was properly supervised. This election monitoring, he had given that to himself, and he's been doing so well. But it is a big irony that as he went to supervise what's happening in Guinea-Bissau, people decided to do what? It doesn't make sense, you know? But then Africa would occasionally assert its Africanness. We're still a developing society, that's the truth. The other time I said, look, if you think that tribal wars have ended in Africa, they have only now put on modern clothes. It's still happening. That's where we are. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It is.
I am happy that our former head of state was taken out intact.
At least the AU, ECOWAS, and COL, they have risen against the coup in Guinea-Bissau. So
fine, they have risen against it, but that would be by word of mouth again. We were actually thinking that an African high command would have taken shape and roots as far back as Obasanjo's time, to even help us shore up democracy on these shaky shores. It's unfortunate that things are still the way they are. It's word of mouth as far as I'm concerned. Look at Niger, for instance. At a point, we were thinking that Big Brother was going to threaten throw a few threats across the border and get these errant men in uniform to behave themselves. But we had to step back.
It didn't work.
Some people were even saying, look, some of those people, they are relatives and all that. So you need to tread with caution when you deal with African things. And that's at the root of Africa still talking about the same things more than 50 years on. These are the little things. Thinking has to be straightened out to land on the turf of normality so that we can start getting better as a continent.
Okay.
Coups this time, they don't mean anything to me. But the surprising thing was that a journalist forum, a WhatsApp forum platform, a reasonable number of journalists were supporting the coups in Burkina Faso and all that. In fact, it made me distance myself from that. There's no way I would expect people who should be canvassing that democracy, keeps rising higher and higher.
Okay, what
it doesn't make sense.
What was their point for supporting?
They're saying that the civilian rule doesn't seem to be working. And I said, how could we say that? Even if that is the truth, it is still our job as journalists to say that is not where we should go. That's my own opinion. Victor, you're about saying something.
No, I was just going to say, even before he asked, I was almost going to say, without knowing the people you're talking about,
yes,
that they would say, democracy isn't working. I just knew that's what they were going to say.
Victor, Chukwudi must be allowed to choose who leads him. I don't know about you. Who would handle the rest later? You don't put yourself in a cage when God and nature have said, come and go out and be happy, you know? It's unfortunate.
I think, you know, in Africa, we just have to improve on the level of governance. That's just the thing. If the level of governance improved, I think all these things will reduce.
I always like to differ a little. Level of governance, very important. But remember, I said the other time, you don't bring politicians to reform in Abuja. These politicians, many of them are the way they left their communities. So the king, the subjects, they have a job to do. EFCC can chase a politician into the hinterland. Even though people know that he's been indicted over financial misconduct and all that, they will still receive him, give him a red carpet reception.
And they will carry placards.
So what are we talking about? Look,
son.
I know what I'm talking about. Africa has to think.
Okay. All right. So let's move on. Nigeria-US joint working group to hold security talks. NSA Ribadu leads federal government's team.
You know, when I tell you that Tinubu is a master dialogue maker, you know, look at the way the Trump threat was followed up. That is diplomacy. I like that. I like what is happening. Remember the Minister of Information too, was saying that the way Trump was putting it was not quite the way it is. And we all share that opinion.
Yeah.
But in spite of the fact that Trump was wrong about us, we didn't rest on our oars. You look at the way they are dousing it. That is diplomacy. And that is the way it should be. I really commend the follow-up. Ribadu, I think, is leading the team. Defense Minister is also there. The joint, team would be able to see the situation the way it is and know how to...
and the president is monitoring.
Of course, yes. He didn't take this lightly. Imagine U.S. coming into Nigeria and doing what they thought they would do. They would leave us with more problems. Because even those people who are not supporting these fundamentalists will begin to think about somebody siding up. Do you understand?
They want to take advantage.
Those are little things you should be careful of. You don't get reckless, you know.
All right, and the Senate is proposing death penalty for kidnapping.
I don't know. It's not to do with my religion. It has to do with my humanism. I don't think anyone should face the death penalty for anything. But if our lawmakers
even if they put others through death.
But they kill people.
There are people. There are countries where
whatever deters,
people are not put to death.
Whatever deters.
No. I'm saying, lend me your ears. I'm saying, in spite of these things happening in some countries, they will tell you, no, death penalty is not it. So it depends on how you want to think. But the most important thing is that the Senate is giving attention to something that really has gravity, that should trouble Victor, trouble Chukwudi, and that is the message. Whatever they come up with at the end of the day is going to be something that deters. But I would rather say, please, let's not rush a death penalty. That's an opinion, please.
All right. Thank you very much.
Opinion.
We'll see you again on Monday. Now you want to opinionate me out.
All right. Good morning, Nigeria. We'll continue after this break. Please don't go away.
Nevertheless, we must come to terms with existential reputational threats to our national brand, in which external purveyors of untruths are mischaracterizing our nation as a destination for a so-called persecution of people based on their religious faith. This is a propaganda externally woven by those who want to break or weaken our unity. For the umpteenth time, I'm emphatic that there is no iota of truth in the communication that is out there, that there is a deliberate, calculated effort where one particular religion is targeted for extermination. I therefore urge us to use the instruments of public relations crafted in truths and facts to vehemently reject this single despicable narrative about Nigeria. It is incumbent on all of us to unite in a voice that will ensure that Nigeria is indeed a country that is anchored on the freedom for everyone to practice his or her religion. In any case, that is what our Constitution stipulates.
My skin is my identity, my strength. It's unique and deserves care made specially for me. New Nivea Radiant and Beauty Advanced Care with 5 oils and 5 vitamins. 48-hour nourishment. Helps reduce appearance of stretch marks in just 2 weeks. New Nivea Radiant and Beauty Advanced Care for your shade of beautiful.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Get ready for a special Christmas celebration like no other.
Join us on Sunday, December 7, 2025 at the National Christian Center, Central Business District, Abuja for the FRCN, NTA and VON service of 9 lessons and carols.
Theme of 2025 is
Jesus Our Strength.
With a charge from Reverend Dr. William Okoye.
The service of 9 lessons and carols live on FRCN, NTA and VON. Sunday, December 7, 2025
at 3 p.m. Be there
at the National Christian Center, Central Business District, Abuja.
Don't miss the service of 9 lessons and carols live on FRCN, NTA, and VON.
Join us and celebrate the true meaning of Christmas.
Evie, you look worried. What's going on?
My big cousin in the university might have to drop out of school. He can't afford his school fees.
Oh no, that's not fair. Wait!
What is it, Tomiwa?
I remember my dad talking about something called Nail Fund. He said it could help university students pay their school fees.
Nail Fund? What is that?
Hey, Captain Excellence! Do you also know about Nail Fund?
Absolutely, Tomiwa. Nail Fund is a federal government initiative that aims to provide financial assistance to students pursuing higher education. Nail Fund not only gives money for school fees, but even school allowances, called stipends. It's the government's way of keeping their promise that no child will be left behind.
Really? You mean this Tinubu government?
Yes, now. You see, Nail Fund is a government loan that helps you pay for school, and you only start paying it back later, little by little.
Ha! It's a loan. Doesn't that mean my big cousin will be swimming in debt?
Not exactly. First, this loan comes with no interest. You only start paying back when you get a job. Even then, it will be just a tiny bit at a time.
My dad says it's just like what they do in other countries like America.
Wow! This is a great idea!
See? With a Nail Fund, everyone can go to school even if you don't have money. Look at those smiles.
Wow! That's amazing! I am going to tell my big cousin right now.
Remember, Nail Fund is here to help every young Nigerian get the education they deserve. No child should be left behind.
The Federal Civil Service Commission wishes to announce its 44th annual Council of the Civil Service Commissions in the Federation. Date: Sunday, 30th November to Friday, 5th December 2025. Venue: International Conference Center, Ogurube Layout, Umuahia, Abia State. Time: 9 a.m. daily. Chief host: His Excellency Dr. Alex C. Oti, OFR, Executive Governor of Abia State. Convener: Professor Tunji Olaupa, MPOM, Honorable Chairman, Federal Civil Service Commission, Abuja. Theme: repositioning civil service commissions in Nigeria as hub of professionalism in public service human resource management. Participants, chairmen and commissioners from federal and state civil service commissions, permanent secretaries and directors. Announcer, Ndiomu Ebiolge Philip, Permanent Secretary, Federal Civil Service Commission.
Right, so this is Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. To begin our conversation on sustaining Nigeria's HIV response, here's a background report put together by correspondent Ibrahim Bello Gunda.
As the world sets to commemorate another World AIDS Day, statistics available indicate that 40.8 million people are living with HIV worldwide. 1.3 million new infections occurred in 2024, and 9.2 million people are still not accessing treatment. However, the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA, says Nigeria is now steadily advancing towards ending AIDS as a public health threat by 2030, adding that the country had continued to record important milestones in its HIV response. This is as new data shows 87% of people living with HIV know their status. 98% of those diagnosed are on treatment, and 95% of those on treatment have achieved viral suppression. Nigeria is also advancing local production of antiretroviral and other HIV commodities to strengthen national self-reliance and reduce dependence on imports. NACA also reports a 46% decline in new infection over the last decade, despite global funding cuts, economic pressure, and fluctuating donor support. The federal government also injected $200 million to ensure uninterrupted delivery of HIV prevention, testing, and treatment services. However, persistent stigmatization of HIV patients, high pediatric HIV cases, and underserved, hard-to-reach communities remains a challenge. Stakeholders are optimistic that Nigeria is close to achieving an AIDS-free generation, but appeal for sustained momentum from all stakeholders. So what more should Nigeria do to continue to win the fight against HIV/AIDS? How can stakeholders rid the country of persistent challenge of stigmatization? And how can Nigeria continue to improve funding and accessibility to treatment in hard-to-reach areas? These and more are some of the questions guests on Good Morning Nigeria will find answers to on the program as we focus on sustaining Nigeria's HIV response.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for those questions, and I'm sure that our guests are ready to provide solutions to some of those questions that you have asked this morning. And let me just introduce Dr. Temitope Ilori. She is the Director General, National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA. DG, you are welcome. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning. Also joining us here is Dr. Yakub Sambo. He is the medical doctor and public health physician working as program manager at the Institute of Human Virology, Nigeria. Dr. Sambo has more than 15 years of expertise in managing large-scale public health programs, leading teams and driving innovation. Glad to have you, Dr. Sambo.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right.
DG, the statistics are not smiling. What is it, the one single factor, if you're asked, that keeps driving the statistics up?
Well,
new infections particularly.
Yeah. Good morning once again. I wouldn't say the statistics are going up. No, they're not going up. They are indeed declining. They are indeed declining. The only thing is that they are not as steep as we want it to be. Our goal is to have no new infection. Last year we still had a couple, about 70,000 Nigerians still came down with new infections. Unfortunately, it's higher amongst the younger generation for obvious reasons, risky sexual behaviors. And then I would say sometimes perhaps we're suffering from our success story. And what I mean by that is that over the years, because of the very potent antiretroviral medications that are available, you don't see the gory stories of HIV/AIDS any longer. HIV is no longer a death sentence. There are people that have been living with HIV for 10, 20, even 30 years, and they are living positively and they are doing well. So our youth, are beginning to think HIV is a myth. They begin to think is just on paper. They begin to think is false, and that is why we're increasing our awareness, particularly amongst the youth. To let them know that yes, HIV is still here with us. We're still having new infections, and what they can do and what they should not do. So.
Okay, you're right, Doctor, because I remembered in the 80s and the 90s, there used to be a spike in HIV, and it was like a death sentence. Once you have it, it's like, but now there's more awareness, more treatments, and there is a decline, no doubt about it. But there are still some challenges, and what are these challenges, and how are you going about them?
I would say the major challenge is ignorance, where we have to collaborate with the media and other partners. In the HIV space, we don't work alone. It's like a village, the government side is there, we have the private sector, we have implementing partners, we have the donor organizations, we have the civil society, we have NGOs, non-governmental organizations, we even have the patient community themselves, that we work with to actually create this awareness, to go to interlands, and give treatment, testing, community testing, facility-based testing, and so many other things. And we even work with traditional rulers, faith-based organizations, so it's a collaborative effort, even with sister government agencies like the National Orientation Agency, the Ministry for Women Affairs, Ministry for Education, and all that. So the biggest factor is ignorance. The other factor is stigma. When people are stigmatized, they don't want, even those that test positive are afraid to come out, to take medications. They don't want to go to health facilities because they don't want to be stigmatized against, they don't want to be discriminated against, they don't want to review their status. So sometimes this hinder access to care, and then we have the issue of the pediatric HIV, which is children born positive. Okay. And this is common because many of the pregnant women probably do not get tested, and we're actually tackling this. We're going to communities, we're making sure that we have test kits available, and that is compulsory, in quote, because we kind of encourage every pregnant woman to make sure that they know their status, and once they test positive, we put them on treatment. And like I said earlier, the medications are so potent that once you start them within 6 months, if you go back for that test, they will tell you that they can't see anything. But it doesn't mean the virus is not with you. It's just, I always give this example. It's just like elevated blood pressure. You go to the hospital, they tell you your BP is high, and you start medication. If you go there another 3 months, they may tell you, oh, the BP is controlled. It doesn't mean you don't have high blood pressure, but it's controlled. It's managed. Same thing with HIV. HIV is now a non-communicable disease.
But so, given that we have new infections, they just won't stop. How close are we, realistically speaking, to ending HIV and AIDS by 2030? This is 2025, the end of 2025.
We are on track. We are on track. We will never, let me not use never. When we say end HIV/AIDS, people that already have the disease have the disease. What we're tackling is to ensure that those that have the disease, we find them out, we put them on treatment, and they retain, treatment. Because once they retain treatment, I always want to emphasize the fact that U equals U. Undetectable equals untransmittable. Once they are retained on treatment, their viral load is so low that they cannot transmit to the other person. And that is a way of curbing new infection. That is one way of curbing new infection. So those that have it will always, for now, there are no vaccines. But there are very potent medications, tablets, and now in the new year, 2026, we're going to have the injectables here in Nigeria. That people can also take injectables for pre-exposure prophylaxis, for treatment and for prevention. But yeah, we are on track.
Okay, Nigeria has achieved 2 of the 3 global 95 targets. And what specific interventions, have contributed to this success, and how can they be scaled up?
Yeah, specifically, I think what has contributed is our collaborative effort. Okay. Like I said, we're not working in isolation. We are also partnering even with the international donor funders. Despite the itches, they're still here with us. Though now we're transitioning more or less, and Nigeria is more like country ownership, more like the government is at the forefront. But yes, they are still here with us, and we appreciate all our international donors because it's been a while since HIV has been here with us, and they've been big brothers to us, helping with the response. Also, within government, like I said, there's inter-agency collaborations, and we're also working with implementing partners to make sure that nobody's left behind. And I think that is one of the key strategies that we've adopted.
But you said something earlier that this thing is becoming rampant amongst the youths, and you know that we have a huge population of youth in this country. So how do you intend to tackle that? Because it's worrisome when it's amongst the youths, and that's where it's common.
Yeah. For instance, yesterday we had a whole day dedicated to the youth. We had youth from all over Nigeria coming to have a symposium with them, and the theme was Generation N, which is even reflecting on my pants, my trousers now. Okay. Generation N meaning generation negative, and trying to empower them, inform them, educate them on how to stay negative, and not contract HIV virus. On Saturday, we are going to be on the Twitter, former Twitter X space, educating them, informing them, interacting. We have some influencers that we've adopted as champions and ambassadors, to propagate this message, because we believe we want to relate with the youth. We have a TikTok account, Facebook, Instagram account, where we produce skits, we produce storyline and all that. And we are working with private sectors too. We have some private sectors like the MTV Sugar and so many others that are dedicated to that space, okay. The social media space, trying to churn out messages, preventive messages to the youth. And then part of the prevention is we try to advocate also, of course, the ABC. Abstinence is best. Be faithful to one partner. Avoid multiple sexual partners. Use condoms if you have to, and then counsel them on do not do drugs, no to drug use, no to injectable drugs, do not share sharp objects. So all this education we try to package in a way that is relatable to them. We are also sponsoring some sporting activities, because we believe youth are very much involved in sports. Just yesterday we had this basketball tournament that is still ongoing, and we at such sites we have testing sites, we have counseling sites, and we share leaflets that educates them.
You've said that young people, are at risk of HIV and AIDS because of risky sexual behaviors. Does that apply to young girls as well?
Yes, because unfortunately, the younger ladies, the younger girls, are actually the most at risk. The incidence starts climbing from 15 to 25 and peaks 25 to 35, and is higher among the young ladies. And I think for obvious reasons, because of the economic situation, some of them cannot negotiate sex. Some of them culturally, they can't talk. Many of them are abused, gender-based violence, and even biologically, we are receptors, and therefore we are more vulnerable, to the HIV virus.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Ilori. Now let's bring in Dr. Sambo into this conversation, but I would like to remind our viewers that you can also ask questions or make comments and send it to our WhatsApp message. The number is displayed on your screen. So just send your comments. If you have questions that you want our guests to respond to, please just send it to us via WhatsApp. Thank you. Now, Dr. Sambo, now we're talking about HIV and the prevalence and the achievement that have been made over the years, because we know that like before, it used to be on the high side, but now it's reduced and it's no longer a death sentence. Maybe that is why that awareness is not that, like we had in the past. So what's your perspective concerning HIV in Nigeria generally at this moment?
Thank you very much. I'll agree with you. I'll agree with the DG as well. The times we find ourselves now, will I say the awareness or the fear, the trepidation we used to have about HIV is not the same as it was in those days. Yeah. And, that's a testament to the great work, the excellent work that we have done in managing this program. IHV and where I work over the past 21 years has been implementing programs in Nigeria, and it's been a metamorphosis from the way we program, from the way we approach it, to the medications as well. I mean, there used to be medications that were really big, huge, and chunky that you have to take twice a day. That were, it's such a burden to the patient. But right now, you have pills that you take once a day. The DG has already mentioned the preventive therapy that's coming, that it's an injectable that you take twice a year. I mean, that's advancement. That's progress. So all of these put together, and one of them as well for me is such platforms like this. I mean, those days when HIV just came about, the media was agog with trying to educate the populace about, how to prevent it, how it's transmitted, and all of that. And because we have contained it largely, we're achieving epidemic control, and kudos to Nigeria for that achievement. Yes, our attention might turn elsewhere, but that's why we have the World AIDS Day. The 1st of December every year, we come to remind the population, hey, still remember HIV. It's still out there. We don't have a cure yet. So remember how it's transmitted. Remember everything that you need to do. Remember to get tested and the ABCD of HIV prevention. Those are the things that we keep pushing.
But in spite of all of this, we still have new infections. We just have new infections coming and coming. So in your experience, what would you say is the biggest gap in Nigeria's HIV response? Is it funding? Is it stigma? Is it access?
My goodness, that question is my response would be in several layers, because all those challenges that you mentioned have a part to play. Unfortunately, funding has a part to play. The theme for the World AIDS Day this year is overcoming disruptions, and that's because globally we have faced a financial disruption, a funding disruption for HIV programs. And so it's very important that funding is covered. Stigma is still a critical factor. Stigma, self-stigmatization by the people who are unfortunately infected may be stigmatizing themselves, but I would say it's different. It's different from what it used to be before. Today we have PLHIVs who can stand and talk on TV, on radio, and tell you their status. And I think I heard in all of this arrangement, I saw a clip yesterday of someone in Lagos who says for the past 20 years, he has lived with his wife. They're discordant couples. He's positive, the wife is negative, and they are living a happy life. So there's been a lot of advancement, but the challenges still are there. We want to see how we keep reducing the new infections, and that's why we're here on TV this morning. We want people to be aware it is still out there. You still need to get yourself tested. You still need to understand the risky behaviors and control yourselves. I agree with when the DG mentioned the age bracket, from 15 and above, especially in females, and she captured it really nicely. All the social factors as well as even the physiological factors that tend to propagate this. So we'll just continue to educate people. We'll continue to advocate to government for better funding. We'll continue to do what we can do as implementing partners within Nigeria to continue to help.
Do we have the relevant health workers, particularly in rural communities, whose areas of specialty is in HIV and AIDS? Of course, I'm asking because of the Japa syndrome.
Oh, my goodness. So one of the things IHVN is advocating for at this point in time that we're thinking of a government-led HIV response is for the adoption of the human resource for health that we as implementing partners have employed. We have staff who work in ad hoc capacity to support the HIV response in Nigeria. And over the years, it has created such a significant impact in being able to manage the program. So part of the things that we are advocating to the government, and I'm happy the DJ is here, is to see how some of these staff are absorbed into the government payroll. But beyond that, we are looking to see that the HIV service delivery no longer stands alone, especially in the primary health facilities as well as the secondary health facilities. We believe that the skill, the technical knowledge, that capacity to manage HIV, we've been doing this for over 20 years. We can transfer this to the government of Nigeria staff within our hospitals, within our primary healthcare centers. So that transfer of skill and knowledge is something that we are big on. It's something that IHVN is taking a good stand and making proper efforts to see how we transfer that skill. In fact, part of the way we implement our programs is that we make sure we partner with government organizations and government facilities, because we don't want to have standalone services, so much so that if funding stops and we pull out, everything collapses. No, we want to ensure that we are having a proper handshake with government at the facility level, down there, where anyone who has the technical capacity to manage HIV and to run HIV programs, we're able to work side by side with the government of Nigeria staff to see that knowledge, that skill is transferred. The know-how on how to manage this is transferred to the government of Nigeria. So those are things that we are doing, and we believe that it can create the impact that we're looking for. We're glad to hear the numbers as they are now. There's still work to be done, and we'll keep pushing.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Sambo. Let's come back to the DG now. Earlier on, you talked about the challenge of funding, which I know that there's a global court now in health financing. So how do we begin to scale up the domestic funding now for us to be able to meet the HIV response in Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I would say we're making progress. I think what HIV has suffered is because, like you rightly said, it came to us as an emergency, and an emergency scheme was put in place, and we had donor organization coming to support us. I know how it is when governments, there are lots of conflicting interests. So if somebody is taking care of this disease, then you channel your money to other area of interest. So over the years, HIV has been heavily donor funded and a bit neglected by, when I say neglected, by government in terms of budgetary allocation. But when we suffered that earlier in the year, we ran to government. And I must appreciate our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for actually rising to the occasion. Just like you heard in the documentary, some funds, about 300 billion naira was set aside, ring fence, not only for HIV, but for also some similar illnesses that were heavily donor funded. And we've been able to pull through, we are in the process. But aside from that, there's also an interministerial committee that was put together, which is chaired by the Coordinating Minister for Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate. There's the Minister for Finance, Minister for Budget Planning, so they are all working to see how best to appropriate, reasonable amount of funds for, HIV and other similar illnesses. And I also want to talk about the human resource aspect. Yes, it's very right. We're trying to now work, at the onset of that challenge, the Coordinating Minister put together a technical working group. We call it ATM, HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria, which I co-chair. And the whole essence is to see how we can integrate some of these services that have been heavily supported by donor partners into the our mainstream organization. What I mean by that, if you go to a clinic, for instance, you may see a desk and say this is the HIV desk, and they have their own system, kind of. And then you have another desk that runs the other, but now we say let's all be on one platform, since very soon Nigeria will be the one pushing this, the donor partners will probably exit very soon. So that is a transition we're going into now. And regarding the adult staff, we're looking at adopting them into the mainstream civil service. We're already talking with the governors, we're meeting with the governors forum, we're meeting with the Committee of Honorable Commissioners of Health in all the 6 states of the Federation. We're talking to the ALGON. So we're looking at how best we can integrate some of this staff into the mainstream civil service.
How do you reach out to the hard-to-reach, communities? Because this seems to be, I don't want to use the word neglected now. How do you reach out to them?
Interestingly, they are not neglected. We are present in all the 774 local governments of Nigeria. We are there. We have because HIV is offered not only in general hospitals or the big hospitals, but even in the primary healthcare centers. And then we even have those that work in the community, like the IHVN. They are mostly community-based, and they offer community-based services. We have some other ad hoc staff that go door to door, and they do so. Really, they're not. I wouldn't say there's really any neglected place, except for maybe a few challenges like security and
Dr. Ilori, I'm reading your shirt, Overcoming Disruptions.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how treatment disruption, has affected viral suppression rates, and how close are we to overcoming disruptions?
we are indeed overcoming disruptions. Yes, we suffered some hiccups, like I said, at the beginning of the year when the stop work order came, and we had that challenge. But luckily, like I said, government swung into action, and luckily for us too, the donor partners, they kind of gave some waivers and they kind of retraced themselves. But like I said, it's not business as usual any longer. Now we are forward looking. We're saying government will drive this process. We are now having a kind of collaborative effort to say, how do we transition into a place that, but we're happy they didn't leave us in the cold. We're happy they're still here with us to give us that leverage to actually transit and ensure. But I can assure you that services were not or are not being disrupted now, and we're sustaining the gains.
All right, we have some questions already. Some of our viewers have sent in some comments and questions which would like both of you to respond to. This one says, good morning, NTA Nigeria. Good morning, doctors in the house, and good morning, resource persons discussing on topic HIV. My take is that since the number of people living with this virus are still on the increase irrespective of government and other agencies' efforts, state and local government should be mandated to close avenues that could be a facilitating factor to the spread of the HIV. Please encourage HIV patients to come forth for proper medications. That was from Engineer Vitalis Iguanjam. Now, this one is from Musty. Musty says, good morning. Please, what is the status of biannual HIV injection in Nigeria? As I believe it is still under testing. How soon will Nigeria start using it? Then this is from Abdulaziz from Kainji. It says, good morning to you all. It is very educative program and I so much love it. My question is, what are the physical features for one to know that he is HIV positive before confirmation from doctor? Well, that's a good question anyway. All right. This one says, good morning, sirs. Ma. Well done. Good work. Ma, how can we stop this HIV in Nigeria? And what do we do? And what do we do not to contact? Okay. What shouldn't we do in order not to contact HIV? What are the symptoms? All right. Then this is from Charity Okeke. It said, please, some people have it and they want to spread it to everybody. They don't care. How do we manage such? Then this one is from David. David is from Delta State. So what are the symptoms or signs of HIV? Because I know many people are afraid of going for a test. Maybe we'll start from DG.
Yeah, let me start with the last question regarding testing. Innovations now, we have what we refer to as self-test kits. Some use the blood, which is just a finger prick, like when you do your sugar level, and some even use saliva. You use you have the test kits, you just use it to swap your mouth and then put it in the serum, and then it gives you the test in about 15 to 20 minutes. So you can do this test in the comfort of your homes, but they are referred to as screening tests. You have to, if it's found positive, then the individual has to go to the hospital for confirmatory test. And if that is positive, the individual is cancelled, explained to, and then they are put on medications, which are very potent. So I will start with that. So I encourage all our youths to get tested. You can buy the test kits, in any big pharma, and then you can go to our hospitals, to any government hospitals. You can do the test free of charge. We have over 40,000 facilities where these tests have been done, and aside from that, we do community outreaches occasionally, especially in the interland, to make sure that people get tested. Be that as it may.
What about the signs? The
signs and symptoms. Well, I wouldn't say there's a particular sign, and I wouldn't even want you to wait until you start seeing signs. Because by the time you start seeing signs, then that is advanced HIV. So I would say in this regard, prevention is better than cure. Okay. And I think the message is prevention, prevention, prevention. So even in terms of people want to spread the disease, what do we do? If you are protected, if you are preventing yourself, if you are having a safe sex, life, you are using condoms when you have to, you are being faithful to your partner, then you won't, you don't get HIV by sharing an office with somebody. You don't get HIV from using the same toilet. You don't get HIV from using the same cups.
From touching.
Or even hugging, yes. But you do get it from sharing sharp objects, either razor or injections or things like that, or syringes and all that. So once you know all that, and then you get protected, even if the person wants to give it to you, where you are not sharing sharp objects, you are not, being exposed sexually, and you are not blood transfusions and things like that, then there's no way the person can actually give it to you. So I'm just trying to say that, emphasize the message of prevention, prevention, prevention.
All right.
Okay, Dr. Sambo, you want to respond?
Yeah, I will agree with the DG. The truth is, HIV, the symptoms are non-specific. There's no single, there are no particular symptoms that when you see would actually define HIV. In clinical management of HIV, there are there's a WHO staging, and there are illnesses or symptoms and signs that when we see, it tells us, yes, that this person likely has HIV. And just like the DJ said, we really don't want people to wait until they start having signs and symptoms. The idea is for you to understand how it's transmitted, to understand the risky behavior and that would put you at risk of getting infected and be able to protect yourself. It's the ABCD of HIV prevention. Abstinence from sexual intercourse, be faithful to a single partner, ensure you're not sleeping with multiple sexual partners. If you must, use a condom consistently and correctly. Desist from sharing sharp objects and doing drugs. Then ensure that for any blood transfusion that you must receive, ensure that it's properly screened before you receive that. So the symptoms are non-specific. Please, everyone out there, just go get tested. Test yourself and understand all of these social behaviors around this and keep yourself safe.
How often should people, just regular people, no signs, no symptoms, nothing, how often should they get tested?
So on the program, one of the things that we do is that we screen individuals before we get them tested. There's a screening tool that shows us the level of risk that individual has exposed himself or herself to. And so if the risk is high and the person gets tested, we ask the person to come back in 3 months. If the person is at high risk, in other words, is sexually active, probably not using a condom, has multiple sexual partners, and at that point that we test, if the person comes out negative, we ask you to come back in 3 months. But then we counsel you, say, this is the lifestyle that you must live if you want to prevent yourself from getting infected. And we ask them to come back in 3 months because the tests that we use is an antibody test. And so sometimes an individual may be infected, but the antibody test will not pick it up because the virus is still replicating at that point in time. And so given some time more, the person will come back and we'll get the person tested. And
this biannual injection, you do not respond?
Yes, it's called, it's one of the PrEP that we have. We call it pre-exposure prophylaxis. They're available, even as we speak. We have the oral tablet that you can use daily as a kind of prevention. They're available in some of our health facilities and they're free of charge. We try not to recommend for everybody. We try to limit it to the very high-risk people for obvious reasons. Every medication has its own side effects, it has its own challenges, but they're available. And when we say high-risk people, maybe by virtue of the work they do or by virtue of their lifestyle and all that. And very soon, the coming year, we're going to roll out the injectables. Lenacapavir, which is the new kid in the block, it's taken once every 6 months. But it's a prevention message. It's a prevention drug. It's not for treatment, for now. So it's taken, and it's, like I said, it's for those group of people that we specifically recommend it.
Let's take some more messages. And this one is from Stanley in Ogun State. Where can people check their HIV status? And how much does it cost to test one person? That's one. From Jaka by Mekudi. I must say NTA is truly the flagship for still bringing us back to this topic today. A few days ago, I visited the Federal Medical Center and saw a big part of the hospital filled with infected mothers, young ladies and men. My surprise was not just the large number, but that HIV still existed and no campaigns against it as was in the past. Where are the federal and state agencies fighting the scourge, even with new viruses coming up? And from Julius Abo in Uyo, good morning, madam. Please, I want to know what state has the highest prevalence rate of HIV and efforts to curtail it. And this one is from Mohammed in Mina. My question is, if your partner got infected with HIV viral infection, but the viral load is extremely low due to regular medication, is there zero chances of, of transmitting the infection to the non-infected partner? Perhaps as a couple, will there also be a low chance of not exposing the child since the mother will breastfeed? This one from Sadiq John reads, good morning to you all over there. My question is, what about this drug that we see online? Do we believe them or do we take them? That's Sadiq John. And HIV patients, is their drugs still free of charge? That's from Nefine. And for Mercy, what new approaches can Nigeria use to reduce HIV transmission among young people and key populations? And finally, please kindly ask the DG if one can have access to HIV-free drugs at the local government level.
Thank you. Let me start with that, and then Doctor will take the others. Yes, HIV drugs are free. They're available in all our local government. They're available at the primary healthcare centers. They're available at the secondary, hospitals. They're available in the teaching hospitals. There are even some community centers and even some private hospitals that do have this HIV drugs. It's free. It's been supplied by government. It's free of charge. You can get the drugs, if you test positive. And we also have the pre-exposure prophylaxis drug, like I mentioned earlier, that are available and can be put to use after such person is screened and cancelled on its use.
Yeah, so thank you to Sadiq, Daniel, David, everyone who is sending in questions. And the truth is that HIV services are available practically in all government facilities, and they are free of charge. Testing is free. Just go in there, walk in there, get tested. We also have HIV self-tests kits available now. In case you don't want to get tested within the facility at your first try, you could pick up a kit and then get yourself tested at home. So I think there was a question on
a partner who might be infected. Is there a chance that the other partner is not infected? And if perhaps the couple already have it, what about the child?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a brilliant question. And it's possible for one partner to be positive and the other negative. We call that a discordant couple, where one is positive and the other is negative.
And they make children?
Well, before I get to the children, there's a principle we call U equals to U. Undetectable equals to untransmissible. In other words, an individual who is infected with HIV, if he or she is consistent on medication and is able to achieve an undetectable viral load, in other words, you check for the HIV virus and it's so much suppressed that it's not detectable, that person is unlikely to transmit the virus to his or her partner. And so that's what we advocate for. For individuals who are HIV positive, know your status, start treatment and achieve viral suppression. That protects you, protects your partner, and protects your children. On the program, we have what we call the prevention of mother-to-child transmission of HIV, where women who are unfortunately positive for HIV, when they take their medications and are able to achieve viral suppression, there's a limited risk of transmitting it to their children. In fact, we have worked so hard, we're even working towards elimination of mother-to-child transmission. And there are several interventions, not just medication, but there's several interventions that we have in place in the HIV response to ensure that their children come out negative. So whoever asks that question, yes, you can have discordant couples. The positive partner may not be able to infect the uninfected partner if they are taking medication and they're receiving counsel from their healthcare providers. And then even for children, we have positive women who deliver negative children, and there are so many of them. We have so many success stories. You can check out the IHVN website. There are so many success stories there to learn from.
Is Nigeria testing enough people? And if not, what must change now?
Wow. So if you saw the report before we started the conversation, we saw that we have only achieved 87% of the first 95, which is, we targeted to see that at least 95% of the people who are HIV positive should know their status. In other words, there's still a gap there when you compare 95 to 87. So there are still people who haven't gotten tested, people who don't know their status. And that's why we do such programs. Get tested. We've told you the risky behavior understand your lifestyle, and submit yourself for a test. Go and get yourself tested. So with more testing, with individuals understanding their lifestyle and getting tested, we're able to find as many who may be HIV positive, and then if they get themselves on treatment, I mean, the entire cascade just goes on that way, and we achieve viral suppression. It's all better for us as a country. So that's the way to prevent new infections. People knowing their status by getting tested, and those who are even positive being on treatment so that they don't transmit the virus anymore. And remaining on your medication, these are things that people can do.
People knowing their status and also ensuring that they don't get infected. Thank you so much, Dr. Sambo. As we begin to round up on this conversation this morning, DG, are you in any way leveraging on technology and other innovative method, to reach out to people infected with HIV?
Yes, like I said, yes, we are. We are using the traditional media, like we are here today. I spoke earlier on about the social media space that we are very much, involved in and present in. We're doing that. In terms of testing people, we've mentioned some of the new innovation, the self-test kits, the one you don't even have to use your blood sample, you can use the saliva and all that is part of the new innovations. We talk about the new innovations of the injectable drugs. There's a prevention that is coming on board. And then, of course, even in monitoring, we have the health records. We are digitalizing our health records to ensure that we can actually monitor, people on medications. We can track them. We have the addresses. We do some home visiting. We have a strong support system, even within the patient community themselves. We have what we refer to as a peer-to-peer, support system. We have some mentor mothers, mothers already positive with HIV, but they're living positively with it. They have very good success stories they can share with their peers and encourage other people, to come on board. So all this we're doing, leveraging on technology to achieve
And what do you plan to do differently in 2026 to improve the statistics?
Awareness. We have to step up our campaign of prevention, particularly amongst the young generation.
Because, awareness is very, very important right now, because we hardly hear of HIV, programs on television, radio these days, unlike before. So, which means you have to, push up awareness. But what are the key lessons learned from Nigeria's HIV response that can be applied to other health challenges?
I would say the multi-sectorial approach of it. HIV is more than a health problem. We have the non-health problem. We have the behavioral issues. We have the cultural issues. We have the economic, issues. So I think that multi-sectorial approach to the HIV response has helped us. And also that collaborative approach, like I said, it takes a village. It's not just government. We work with partners. We work with implementing partners like IHVM. We work with donor partners. We work with sister agency. So all that, coming together to have that partnership, that synergy, that collaborative effort has actually helped us to achieve these gains. And I hope we'll continue to leverage on that, going forward. But just in conclusion, I also want to appeal to other tiers of government. Even though we're already talking, but I will say that the government federal government is rising up to the occasion now. And I want to challenge the state government, because we have the State Agency for the Control of AIDS. We even have the local government, committees for AIDS action. So I'm challenging the local government, the state government and other tiers of government to join hands with the federal government to let us, amplify, these messages.
Okay. I think that's your World AIDS Day message. The final note. You have a one-liner, 30 seconds?
One-liner, 30 seconds would be, get tested. We continue to advocate to government to see how that we continue to educate our people and continue to see that we have a government of Nigeria-led HIV response.
Okay. DG, your parting shot?
Well, my parting shot is that we continue to sustain the gain, know your status, get tested, stay on treatment if you're found to be positive.
Thank you so much, Dr. Temitope Ilori, Director General, National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Also, we want to thank Dr. Yakub Sambo, medical doctor and public health physician working as program manager at the Institute of Human Virology, Nigeria. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning.
Great pleasure.
All right, we'll take a break now. When we return, our second topic on innovation for viable blue economy will kickstart. Stay with us.
Let's believe in ourselves. Let's have the right attitude. We've got all it takes to get there. Let's look inwards and revive all our infrastructures and galvanize our human and material resources. Nigerians, believe in yourselves. Believe we can succeed. Nigeria, believe. Powered by National Orientation Agency.
Right, and now to our second focus this morning, the 2025 Nigerian Society of Engineers Annual International Conference and Exhibition, a gathering that has turned Abuja into a hub of ideas, innovation and intellectual energy.
You're right, Victor. With the theme Engineering Innovation for a Sustainable Blue Economy, this year's conference goes beyond technical discussions, speaking directly to Nigeria's future, our coastlines, waterways, marine resources, and energy corridors hold immense economic potential.
And the NSC is putting engineers at the heart of that conversation. How can technology, research, and homegrown solutions help Nigeria tap into the blue economy? Responsibly and sustainably, of course.
From renewable energy and port infrastructure to water transport, climate-smart engineering, and new job pathways for young engineers, this conference is setting the tone for where Nigeria's development can go next.
And then joining us to break down the big ideas and the real opportunities is Engineer Valerie Agberagba, FNSE. She's General Manager, Generation Projects at the Niger Delta Power Holding Company. A pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here with you.
Okay. So how can Nigeria leverage its vast coastline and marine resources to drive economic growth and also to ensure sustainable development?
For me, it's a very, very important topic. I mean, if we need to grow our economy, I think the blue economy is the way to go now. We know what is happening because looking at that, it cuts across so many sectors, not just renewable, it cuts across agriculture, it cuts across water usage and environmental pollution. And so there's need for us as individuals, not just engineers. It's good the Nigerian Society of Engineers has come up with this topic to be able to speak to Nigerians and engineers. But for us as engineers, we believe it's high time we started looking at them, because if we need to grow our economy, it's what we need to focus on. Just like you said, renewable energy is one of the issues that we need to be developing now. We have a desire to have 30% of renewable as part of our energy mix by the year 2030. So that gives us about 5 years to achieve that. So the only place we can really take advantage of right now is the coastal areas. We can do wind, we can even do the floating renewable solar system and be able to improve on what we have. We can also use that to leverage on biodegradable materials that come in from all the pollutions around the coastal area. So it's a very good topic for the engineers now. I'm not speaking for the Nigerian Society of Engineers because it is a topic that the president and those who are planning the conference have been discussing. Okay. But as an engineer, I believe it's very apt at this time. It's important that we look at these issues. And if we're talking about innovation, this is the right way to go because we must find solutions to our numerous challenges in Nigeria.
But what exactly does a blue economy mean for ordinary Nigerians?
Oh, well, when you look at it, you say blue economy, you're talking about, because if you look at the waterways and all, we're talking of all the activities that take place within the waterways and our oceans and rivers around us. A lot of activities, you know. You have the movement of logistics, logistic activities. You have other fishing and all. A lot of activities taken. So blue economy is actually talking of utilizing your coastal environment to the benefit of your economy by using it to grow your economy instead of allowing it, the vast resources we have in the ocean. There's the fishing. I mean, it's a lot when you think about it. So instead of just allowing it for some specific utilization, for me, to get our economy to where we want it now, we need to look at that sector of Nigeria, using the coastal waters and using it to build your economy, looking at all the different activities that take place there and begin to look at how you can innovate to improve your...
So how engineers going to help, you know, how engineers going to help to reduce the losses across, whether you're talking the fishing, you're talking the marine?
Well, I won't talk about reducing losses. We are going to talk about improving that which we do there. Yeah, so it's not, I don't want to use the word reducing losses, you know, because there's a lot, like I said, and I think no better profession to really look at the coastal activities than the engineers. And why do I say this? Like I said, innovation comes into it. You look at the logistics movement and all, a lot of pollution comes from it. So, and we are talking about clean energy and all. The engineers should begin to look at how we can bring in more clean energy activities into the system. We also look at the fishing. We need to see how we can bring in those underwater smart fishing activities using AI, the Internet of Things, to see what happens on the ground. You understand? Under the water, not on the ground, sorry, under the waters and all those activities that go in there. And also, like I said, if you look at renewable energy, now there are countries that have the floating solar systems, right? And I'm aware that there is one of our power plants that is thinking of doing that because there is a hydro plant and they want to be able to utilize their water, not just only for the dams for energy. So it's a lot of activities that can take place there. So that's what I'm saying. It's not talking about losses, but improving on the activities that are there and then be able to build on even the waste that comes out from those logistic movements, how we can transform those waste also to wealth, you know. So engineers have a lot to do. We need to now be forward-thinking, future-thinking, and not depend only on oil for our economy. This is one area that everybody needs to focus on. There's a lot happening in that environment.
Yeah,
and,
there's a lot, huge one.
Yeah.
Especially from the south and the west, you know, we have these
huge vast of waters around. So we need to start thinking, not just for...
Is that what the conference is all about? When you're trying to showcase the potentials that the engineering can provide, you know, for the solutions of all these challenges?
Yeah, I think that is the focus. Like I said, I'm not holding forth for the Nigerian Society of Engineers. We've had people planning the conference, and I believe from all the activities and the adverts we have seen, and even the lineup of speakers, I believe that is what we are looking at. We are looking at engineers refocusing, future thinking. There are so many challenges, like I said, and who are those to better do it for us than the engineers? So that's why we need to sit down and think. Let's remove our mind from the traditional engineering activities. let's look at what we can do differently. Let's look at what we can do the Nigerian way to improve our economy, to build our professionalism and make sure that everybody is up and doing in building a better Nigeria.
So what opportunity exists for, Nigerian engineers and entrepreneurs to invest and develop in this blue economy? Because, we have a huge, water in the country. So what opportunity exists for the Nigerian engineers and entrepreneurs that they can, take advantage of?
So like a lot. Let's start from agriculture. You have the aqua activities going on, and up till now, you still realize that they tell you that we still import some of those water animals back into Nigeria. And why should we have that when you look at the vast environment of water we have?
Yeah.
Well, you will still see the traditional way of fishing and everything. And innovation is all about thinking and seeing what can we do differently. If we have done it this way for so many years, what can we do differently? And that is why we are refocusing. What can we do differently? When it comes to fishing, what improvement can we bring? So the agric engineers have a lot to think about. How best can we improve the fishing activities, the agricultural activities in the waterways, that we can get better yield and better improvement on how people do things, and even reduce the stress on the local farmers, let's put it that way, and those who do it. And then we also look at, like I said, if you look at the environment, and I'm sure you see some pictures when they show you just around the shores and all, you see a lot of plastic, a lot of polluted materials all there. And so if you look at that, what can we do about that? We need to start changing those waste to wealth. We need to see what we can do and how we can even remove them from there, because they cause a lot of nuisance in the waterways. And then we look at the logistics activities there. Let's look at our ship and all those that move there. What are the processes for the machines and the energy generation there? Are they clean energy enough for us to use? We could think of all those things. So there are lots of opportunities. I think what we need to do is refocusing from where is the quick win for me to make money. For us in Nigeria, that's the first thing. If I want to do business, I want to see the places where when I put in this amount of money within the shortest possible time, I'm making my returns and all. But there are areas that you need to take time to innovate, change, and begin to make all the money you want to make. And this is the time to start thinking that way, because we must come back to building Nigeria the Nigeria way.
You've talked about improvement. You've mentioned it quite a number of times. What skills do we require to bring about these improvements and that we also need to compete globally in the blue economy? Okay.
Now, first and foremost, if you look at education, I think if you recall the last time we were here, we talked about refocusing our educational environment. We need to move from the traditional learning processes and bring in a lot of things. Engineering now is not just technical alone. We need to start speaking the language that will help engineers to improve their system. That means we need to do a lot of finance, we need to do a lot of commercial thinking, and we need to know really how to communicate our ideas to people so they understand what we're doing. So what this tells us is that we need to reskill. We need to reskill, we need to build capacity. We need people to see that the future is not depending on just you alone. You also must know that for you to succeed in anything you're doing, there has to be a collaboration now with stakeholders. Engineering activities now does not lie only with engineers alone. If I want to succeed, I must look at those other people that are stakeholders in it and bring them in. If we're going to do some prototype, engineers have done a lot. You see a lot of designs, prototypes on the shelves and all. But this is the time, that's one of the issues again we are looking at, R&D. Where are we on R&D and where are they? So those things that are on the shelf, I think it is time for us to learn the commercial language, begin to look at those who can help us to bring them out so that these new ideas of doing things can actually come into fore. Because if you don't upskill and develop people, they will not be able to fit into the technologies and innovations coming up. So that is very, very important. And then we also need to look at, there are standards for doing so many things, but there are also some things that work for us in Nigeria. So there's a lot of standards. You can say, oh, we need to meet this international standard. So people need to be intentional in doing quality work,
Okay.
in measuring what they are doing, and in also making sure that tests and retesting and certifications are done. So these are things we need to put in place, and I know they are part of the lineup for the conference. I've seen some of the rundown, and I believe they are part of the things we are going to be looking at, because so many areas have to be looked at for us to achieve the goal of having this conference.
Since you talked about the international, I know that there are so many developments in other climes that we are not actually into right now. Is there any collaboration? What I mean is is the role? Are you the Nigerian engineers? Are they collaborating with foreign partners?
Oh yes.
To take advantage of the huge.
Yeah, we do. Nigerian Society of Engineers is a member of the Federation of African Engineering Organization, which it consists of engineering organizations across Africa. Then we're also a member of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations. That also has engineering organizations across the globe, and there are about 105, 106 countries registered in that organization. So that creates a lot of opportunity for us to collaborate. The conference was held in China in October.
Okay.
And it was a lot for us to do, talking with our colleagues from other countries, allowing them to know that these are our problems and these are issues. And there is a program on focusing on Africa, looking at the African challenges and how some of these other countries could come in to help in building capacity and all. So we are collaborating. That gives us a huge opportunity to talk with our engineers from other countries. We share ideas because we operate on that technical committee. So the energy committee, we have collaboration on how we can do that. Then the water and all. So that creates opportunity for us. And outside that, the Nigerian Society of Engineers has also had some other relationship. I know with the Russian Mining and Metrology Association, because I know they just came back from Russia having a conference on talking about mining, doing it the right way, and how we can also improve on our mining activities in Nigeria. So we have a very wide opportunity for collaboration, and we are taking good advantage of that. And I believe...
Let's talk policies. Do we have the policies in place, or there are gaps that we need to fill, to be able to unlock, the coastal investments and jobs?
Well, I believe there are policies. I mean, the Ministry of Blue Economy is there, so it's a new ministry, and I think one of the first few things they must have come up with are the policies that people could, because when you come up with a new focus, if you don't put your policies and guidelines and the do's and don'ts for it, people are bound to abuse it, and then you lose the reason why you have it. So as a ministry, I believe that one of the first few things they have done is to make sure that the policies are well put in place, and everybody who wants to come into that place understands what it is all about and how they can play in that sector. And for engineers, we would not do anything outside what we know is right, because what we need to do is to look at the policies that are there for us to be able to work. And so I think the major reason for this conference is to bring out opportunities. And so there will be discussions on the policies and what we do. And when we have a robust discussion on them, then also the Nigerian Society of Engineers or engineers in Nigeria could also give their own views on how things can be done. So I think one of the things that will come out of this conference is the fact that when looking at the policies on ground, we need to see where the Nigerian engineer can fit in, and where we see that there is a gap in us being able to fit in, then we'll be able to speak to the government on it that, hey, if you want the Nigerian engineer to fit into this place, then this is what we'll advise, that one or two things should change. We have Nigeria and the government been focusing on the fact that we want Nigerians to be involved in building Nigeria. Local content is being enhanced, is being improved and being encouraged. So we also should look at how we can come into this space, because right now I don't think a lot of Nigerians are playing in that environment.
So are we preparing young engineers, for instance, on this new frontier?
I tell you we are. The young engineers even at the program have their own section on looking at this topic. And as engineers, as a society, I know a lot is being done, but as engineers, everywhere we go, one of the things they've made us to do is that you must have a program for mentoring. And that is ongoing. We all have mentors everywhere. I do a lot of mentoring too. We have them there. And what we are planning now is building capacity in the young engineers, educating them. And we've also tried to improve on innovation competitions. In June, I actually organized an innovation competition for engineers, you know, what you can do to solve a particular problem in your environment. And the Nigerian Society of Engineers also has a Young Engineers competition. Then we also have the Engineer of the Year competition, which just ended. They just concluded it last week. And I think one of the winning design was on environment, how to clean the environment and use of waste, you know, how to use, you know, most of the time we have one usage for water. Once you use your water, it goes away. So this design was looking at double usage of water, how you can recycle your waste and then be able to use the water out of it. So we encourage young engineers in so many ways, build capacity by training, organizing competitions, and also even sending them to to compete even with other engineers across the globe. So there is a lot of program going on for building the young engineers. Every engineer is encouraged to be a mentor wherever you are. And we are having a very structured, sometimes the mentoring has been informal, but now we're having a very structured process of mentoring where you pair the young ones with older ones.
Which is very good. It's highly commendable because, like you said earlier, I mean, the mindset of especially the younger ones now is how to get money fast.
You got it.
And when you now begin to mentor them, now you begin to reset their mind, which is good for development and human capacity. But what are some of the successful examples that you can give of engineering innovation driving sustainable development in Nigeria, especially in the blue economy?
Well, I won't be able to give much in the blue economy because that's not my area of
specialty.
Yes, or specialty. I work in the power sector.
Okay.
And but in the blue economy, I think what we have seen is the fact that a lot has been done when it comes to environmental issues around. I think if I look at some of the things I've read, I think that was one of the focus, looking at the environment, what impact do activities in the ocean have in Nigeria. But if I narrow it down to my own area, we have also looked at the fact that if we want to be able to improve on the power sector in Nigeria, then we also need to look at the waters. That's why I said recently, I think it was when the Association of Generation Companies were celebrating their 10th anniversary. I got to know that the power plant was also thinking of having this floating solar plant.
Okay.
Yes, in the waters. So for me, a lot still needs to be done, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not into the blue economy system, so I wouldn't know much of their success stories to give. But if a power plant is planning on putting a floating solar system on the waters now, it means that we are going places. For me, when I heard that, I was very excited, and I want to be alive to see that happen, because we see it happen in other places, but we haven't seen us putting down our mind to say, because even the solar farms in our land, I know we are still limited in having those big farms. Now going a step further to say, oh, we want to put it on the waters, I think that was smart thinking, that was forward thinking.
It all sounds promising, but how do we prevent the blue economy from sinking into the same inefficiencies, inadequacies, if you like, of the oil?
When you're starting something new, the first thing you should look at, like I said, is what are the things. Regulation is very important. If we must come to that, if you look at the oil system, you realize that we were doing things we believed in ourselves. It's at the later stage when we're growing big, we realized that we needed to have better regulations, and then look at different areas. You now look at the gas market. Should we sell to outside? What is the domestic gas issue and all? But now everybody learns from experience, and I believe the blue economy coming into being in Nigeria, they must have also seen what happened in the oil and gas and be able to learn from there. So the first thing I think we can do to avoid that issue is having a strong regulation for whatever we are doing. Regulation is very, very important. And then we must also have the reward and sanction processes for people who are doing the wrong things, because the tendency is for us to take advantage of who we are and believe we can do and get away with it because we know who is there. So there must be reward and sanctions for anybody who goes against those rules and regulations. So I believe the Ministry of Blue Economy has a lot to do.
On top of their game.
Now, before we let you go, what are your expectations from this conference?
The first thing is educating all of us, because the blue economy is a new area. So it's going to be opening our eyes to see the opportunities there for engineers. And it's not just going to be a talk show. It's going to be a time where there will be some actions to be taken. I see a lot of call for action activities going there right now. So I'm looking forward to being at the conference. I'm looking forward to taking a lot from, like some of the questions you asked me, you see, I tell you, I'm not so into the blue economy. So I'm looking forward to participating in the conference in its totality, getting a lot of knowledge. And who knows, I could go into there for some businesses and make my money from that environment. So I think it's a good one. We look forward to learning. We look forward to opportunities, and we look forward to collaborations with others who have been there before.
I guess it's a fine place to leave this conversation. Engineer Valerie Agberagba, FNSC, General Manager, Generation Projects at the Niger Delta Power Holding Company. We thank you very much for your time and your perspectives.
Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure being here.
Thanks for coming.
Right. We'll go for another break, and then we'll return for another conversation on the Abuja Garden Show. Please don't go away.
There were obstacles and there were hurdles that we had to face. There were challenges and there were struggles that we had to brace. Now there's a sound of change that is coming, a journey towards a transforming and rebuilding a system that will stand the test of time. Yes, we're building a system that will stand the test of time.
Efficient, productive, incorruptible, citizen-centered and epic culture.
This is the Federal Civil Service. Our mission is clear as day. This is a call for transformation. This is a vision for change. A citizen-centered epic culture. Join us to move Nigeria forward. This is the Federal Civil Service. We are marching to greatness.
Creating new possibilities, rebuilding capacity, serving the people with excellence and honesty. Where there's a drive, where there's inspiration, partnership and innovation. Yes, we're building a system that will stand the test of time. Oh, yes, we're building a system that will stand the test of time. Oh,
this is the Federal Civil Service. Our mission is clear as day. This is a call for transformation. This is a vision for change. A citizen-centered epic culture. Join us to move.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. And the program is still Good Morning Nigeria. And the conversation is still on. Right now, our third conversation this morning is the Abuja Garden Show. And the Abuja Garden Show is here again, a colorful gathering for nature lovers, gardeners, and entrepreneurs in the green space.
And it's coming at a time when Nigeria's horticulture sector is growing steadily. with new interest in urban gardening and the green economy.
This year's edition showcases fresh ideas, home gardening, landscape design, and new tools for modern urban living, to mention just a few.
Now, it is more than beauty, it is about business, food security, and a cleaner environment.
And to help us understand the impact of this year's show, we are now being joined by by Bianatu Buba. She's a member of Abuja Garden Show and the planning committee. Madam, you are welcome to the Morning
Thank you
Nigeria.
very much.
All right.
Morning, NTA viewers.
So,
good
why
morning.
is Nigeria, suddenly seeing a surge of interest in gardening and horticulture?
I think that the whole thing came to a head at the start of COVID, when people were forced to stay indoors and reassess their use of time and the impact of everything on themselves and the environment. COVID opened our eyes to actually what we do with our time and the space that we occupy. Abuja Garden Show is the brainchild of Mrs. Mutala Mohammed.
Okay.
The show is actually on today. It starts today.
Today, okay.
There's a program tomorrow from 9 till 6 and culminates on Sunday, again 9 till 6.
Okay.
It brings together interest in all aspects of green, all aspects of nature. Gardeners, garden enthusiasts, vendors, anything to do with plant and enhancing our natural state.
Okay.
I'd say the venue, let me mention that first, is the Sarius Palmatum, the botanical garden in Maitama. That space holds, I'd say, the largest variety of plants in one location. Apart from not just plants, not just palms, there are more than 300 species of different palms in the Palmatum.
I think I've been there once or twice, but the years now.
You need to go there regularly because it changes fundamentally. If you give it a 6 months gap, when you visit again, you'll be wowed and amazed at what you see. The amount of investment and private investment that goes into keeping and making the space what you see today is not small.
It's huge.
It's huge. It's not dependent on government input. It's not sitting back and relaxing and waiting, appealing to government to do anything. This is a private venture that is aimed at putting Abuja as a botanical garden on the map of the world, not just of Africa, but of the world.
We just came off a conversation
it's a global thing.
on green economy. Or blue economy, rather. Now we are talking green economy. So what makes this green economy a serious, job creator today?
Job creation, everyone has a stake in this space. What you tend to find commonly now is roadside garden with some vendors putting plants in cement bags and trying to hawk it to passers-by. The industry has changed. It has morphed into where you have educated, articulate people choosing to do gardening as a profession, as a venture that is both business-minded, revenue generating. It's not a thing any longer for, I think the concept may be if you have nothing to do and you have a little bit of ground, then you can put some things together, and it's no longer that. It is a profession where people like myself are choosing, I'm a former banker, choosing to explore a passion of doing something sustainable for Nigeria in terms of our stake in global warming, our stake in sustainability, food, typical example.
Yeah, you've talked about food now. I was just going to bring in this issue of how this can contribute to food sustainability. You know, the First Lady right now is at the vanguard of every home a garden, you understand? And how can this urban garden contribute to Nigeria's food security and sustainable development?
Okay, so there's a distinct difference between farming and gardening.
Okay.
I think what is generally understood here when we talk about food is farming. But gardening, with all its aspects, can be a thing that generates food. You have different types of food products, bananas. You can grow a banana tree in your backyard. You can grow a banana tree in a pot and it will fruit banana. These are the kinds of innovative developments that have come in this space now. You don't need a huge expanse of land to grow a pear tree or to grow potatoes. You grow yam
Or vegetables.
vegetables, typically vegetables.
Yes.
In your kitchen windowsill, you can have your tomatoes, your peppers. It's with little or no investment. You go to the market and you buy peppers.
Even yam.
Yes.
Yeah, even yam. You can grow it in the garden.
Absolutely. Not even a garden. If you have a balcony,
Yeah.
you have a
kind of
bag.
sack.
Yes. You plant the yam tuber, it will grow.
Yeah.
And this is what the technique of it is what people are learning. This garden show gives exposure to the different types of methods of gardening that are available.
Okay.
What is the number that you're expecting, for this show? From where are they coming? And
International. The garden show, the fourth edition, had excess of 10,000 visitors. We expect this year, and it is already manifesting, more than double that quantity. We have vendors, international vendors, approaching to take part in the garden show now. We have visitors across the board. We've I think always had an international flair to the visitors that visit the garden show.
What's in
but
it
it is
for a
more
journalist
pronounced.
Let me ask you. You are an elderly, and I know that this has to do a lot with health and physical fitness. So, how does this gardening contribute to mental health and physical fitness?
You do it. You do gardening. Once you're in your garden, or if you have a plant, say, for example, you are nurturing one single plant on your windowsill.
Yeah.
Your mental health, what it does for your mental health is more than any Panadol, any ibuprofen, anything that will do. It gives you a sense of calm. It gives you a sense of taking care and seeing something nurture and grow. That is what your mental health balance is on. That aspect of it. If you have the wherewithal, you're looking for a business idea, it's an easy, low-cost area, space that you can go into without having to take a big amount in terms of investment. You exist at the scale and the space that you need to. And it's not just plants. It's about landscaping. It's about the attendant things that people need, a pot to put their beautiful plant in. The pot maker, the person that makes the cement pots, the person that makes the clay pots. These are all indigenous things to Nigeria, and these are all areas and avenues where people can venture and develop and create.
Okay.
We are so creative.
We are.
But we look outside to see what is outside and prefer. We are people from outside come to take what we have to beautify themselves, and in a lot of cases send it back to us, and we prefer what we get from outside
and pay more for it.
Exactly, to what we have here.
For a journalist like me, what should be the attraction in the Abuja Garden Show?
Before you're a journalist, you're a person. You live somewhere, you exist somewhere, you travel to and from your workspace. So I would say, think of yourself as the person first before you become the journalist. That person, you can feed on all the things that will be showcased at the show. What is your interest? Is it shopping for plants? Is it shopping for beautifying your home? Is it something to be comfortable when you get home so that you can relax and have a nice environment around your home space? These are all things not specific to a industry or a career, to you as a human being. If you are that relaxed and well-balanced human being first, a lot of the stress outside you deal with differently. You don't become aggressive in driving in traffic because you understand maybe that person that is stressed out, that is trying to stress you, is undergoing so many things. You reflect differently as a person.
So it helps a lot concerning mental health and physical
Definitely.
health. So you would
Definitely.
advise, especially the elderly, because most of them are kind of redundant right now, and these are some of the things that they can do to get themselves fully engaged and
Fully.
refreshed and all that. Are you promoting a community kind of, activities in this kind of garden?
So in the garden, at the garden show, what happens is vendors come to participate. So you have vendors across the board. There are people who import plants and sell. There are people who grow plants and sell. But there are so many other industries attached. Hydroponic gardening is a new technology that is available. You grow vegetables and plants in a water-based environment.
Okay.
If someone has no idea that something like this is possible, at the garden show, they will be exposed to these different techniques of gardening. Somebody who lives in a block of flats maybe and occupies one room, or you see a lot of rooftop gardens nowadays. People can put trees on the roof because there's no space. Maybe the space downstairs is used for parking.
All right.
I think we've run out of time completely.
Oh, goodness.
So I'd like to thank you, Hannatu Buba, member Abuja Garden Show Planning Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for bringing the gardening ideas to us. Thank you.
Please, I wish everyone would take. It's a 3-day event. As I said, it starts today, tomorrow, and Sunday.
All right.
Take time just to visit. Your eyes will be
All right.
open.
Thank you very much.
You're
That's Good
welcome.
Morning,
Thank you,
Nigeria.
Anna,
Thank you
too.
for watching. I'm Victor, as we'll see you on Monday.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Have a lovely weekend.